Hello, everybody, and I'm going to be reading Samantha's sexual assault story, and I'm going to just get right into it. Music is how I talk about what happened. Every time I share my story in a performance, people come up to me after to say they're survivors too. It's it's so healing to know you're not alone. Samantha Lynn is a magician, member of the LGBTQ community, and a survivor of sexual violence. Samantha was sexually assaulted after a friend's party by someone she had known as a acquaintance for years. I didn't know him very well, but we were in the same circle. But he knew I was dated a woman. Samantha told her mom and her sister that she had been assaulted without sharing any details. They were in a very supportive way, and she didn't press her to share more than what she's comfortable with. Telling someone that happened is what happened is never something that you fully prepare. The hardest thing for me is the hardest thing for me to do was to say it for the first time. Samantha's mom showed support by not overwhelming her with questions or suggestions and bringing her food, even though she couldn't eat. Samantha found her mother with pamphlets she gotten from her local sexual assault resource center on how parents can support a survivor. She went out and learned how to support me without depending on me to teach her how. That spoke volumes. Samantha reported the assault, but the predator wasn't arrested until 6 months later because he didn't show up for an interview with detectives. Throughout the bail and sentence hearings, I could tell he didn't have a clue what he did wrong. But I assure you, there was no mixed signs. I didn't want what happened to me, and he knew that. He was sentenced to 7 months in jail, but only served 3.5 months. That sentence was barred from entering the city which Samantha lives. I wasn't scared anymore. I was frustrated. The process took years, and he barely punished for what he did. He doesn't satisfy my idea of justice should be. Though the sentence was insufficient, Samantha is thankful to everyone involved in the process. She says that the legal advisors and attorneys were understanding and supportive, and the judge took the time to listen and take her case seriously. He looked me in the eye and listened to every word I said. He saw through the BS this other guy was saying. He did what he could to the limitation he was given. A huge part of Samantha's healing has come from the emotional and practice support that her mom, sister, and brother-in-law have offered. Throughout a long hearing and sentencing process, Samantha's brother-in-law drove her to every court date. Since the assault, they had an understanding that she called him any other day or night if she was having a panic attack. And he will say over the phone, to this day he doesn't know any details of what happened to her and never asks. One time I had a panic attack where I was coming out of the studio recording session in Seattle, and I called him. He was an hour and a half he was an hour drive away, but dropped what he was doing to pick me up, and my sister stayed on the phone with me the whole time. When Samantha found a therapist who felt comfortable with and fit her needs, but couldn't afford the sessions, her sister stepped in to help. My sister, my rock, paid for every session. She didn't limit how often I could go. She knew how much I needed it. I cannot thank her enough for funding me to see what the therapist of my choice. My sister and her husband were there for me on every step of the way. Samantha recognized that for family and friends survivors, it can be hard to balance what they may be feeling with a desire of support, a love for advance to be there and know you can't fix it, and seek out resources to learn how to care for yourself and the survivors in your life. I have been in a dark place for PTSD, depression, and wanting to take my own life, and that even when I have the most wonderful system in the world. But I know people don't have that, and I want them to know that they are not alone. Music has been my essential part of Samantha's healing process. Her song Be Away was her first song she wrote about what happened to her. After performing it in public and met with supporters, loves, and connection with survivors, she's still performing it at shows years later. I knew I was hurting and had to get out. While counseling was helpful, I needed more. I needed to express my arts. After the assault, Samantha developed an eating disorder, which she mentions in Be Away. Sometimes it was because I felt that I wasn't worth of eating nor nutriments. Sometimes I forgot. Sometimes I was too nauseous over grief. And sometimes I felt that I was the only thing that my life could control. Though it's difficult to be taken back to the moment in her life each time she performs certain songs. She finds tremendous healing in channeling the trauma and experience to art. It's hard to me to talk about what happened, but when I'm writing a song or creating music, it's never forced. It just flows. Because the predator was part of the sheriff's friends group, she struggled with losing one of her close friends who believed the assault happened but took the side of the predator. This friend went to the extent of writing a character witness statement for the predator in court. That hurt a lot. Samantha was experienced issues with her physical insulin since the assault. The thought of being touched by anyone was painful that Samantha couldn't hold hands or hug her family and friends for months, which made her even more alone. When she tried to start dating again a year after the assault, she didn't know when or how to bring up the conversation that she was healing from sexual violence. Eventually, she decided to let the woman she was dating know early on the on that she was a survivor without sharing any details, and to be open about the fact that she was struggling with intimacy. The person responded I got were incredible. So often when I shared that I'm a survivor, the person was dating would say she was too. We would share a moment of understanding. It was both saddening and beautiful. She disclosed to her wife on the first date, who shared she was also a survivor. When I told her what specifically I can't do, she listened and asked, "What else?" A weight came off my shoulder and came. I'll be right back. Hold on. Sorry about that. A weight came off my shoulders, and I felt so cared for to know that someone would truly listen and respect those boundaries. Because of the assault began with while Samantha was sleeping, she wasn't able to sleep at night, along with after an experienced PTSD related to her sleep. I turned to smoking pot every day and night. If it wasn't working or expected to drive, I was high. At first, it was the only way I could sleep. I would be too scared to fall asleep in fear I'd be waken up at assault and live it through again. I would smoke until I couldn't open my eyes. Even then, I could stop. It wouldn't stop the nightmares. It wasn't till I met my first wife that I was able to walk away from substance and truly use coping skills that I learned from my counselor. I remember the first night I fell asleep with her by my side. It was the first time I could truly sleep peacefully. I felt safe. After almost a year and a half, I could finally rest. Samantha comes from an accepting family and community, and it was very comfortable with who she is a lesbian, but felt feared by targeted by a part of it, the LGBTQ community. When my wife and I are in public together and we're holding hands, we constantly vigilant of how people us around might react. We get stared a lot and never know what's going through their minds, someone's head when they look at us, and we're from another planet. It confuses them, worries them, angers them, and sometimes motivates them to say something. It's scary. While Samantha is grateful for the support of her family and friends and where she is in healing journey, the sense of self-worth, she wants to remind survivors and loved ones that PTSD can stay with you, and may come in many shapes or forms. I deal with PTSD, deal with it every day. PTSD isn't just having anxiety attacks. Sometimes it means feeling zoned out, irritability, apathic, hyper-focused, argumentative, complex, etc. I just have to make an extra effort to figure out why I have these emotions and work through them in a healthy, self love kind of way. I just take it one day at a time. Samantha says that no survivor should be pressured to share a story, but for her, it was been helpful for her healing. I hope you guys enjoy this video as if it's inspired you in any shape or form. And if it did, please like, please subscribe, please share, etc. And I will see you in the next video.